So next up, a very big success story. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a little update, a little check-in on my project pan. So if you didn't watch the project pan launch that I did 6 months ago in May, I was very late. I mean, if we're looking at calendar years, I was a little late to get started. I didn't really plan on doing one, but then I got jealous of everybody else doing that, and I thought, do you know what, I feel like I can have success here this year. So I decided in May to start my project pan, and I'll do May to May, so it's still a year. So today, roughly around this week, we're at the halfway mark. We're 6 months in to this project pan, and I thought I'd update you on where I'm at. Have I hit any pans? Are there any pans to be found at the halfway mark? We're going to see. How do you think I did? Before we get started, how do you think I'm doing? You don't have any faith in me, do you? So I'm going to start off with the 3 foundations that I decided. 3 foundations, which seems like a lot, but most of these I had, like, it wasn't like they were brand new opened on the day I started my product pan. I had already started using these, so I felt like these 3 being probably my most reached for, or at the time, my most reached for foundations, I felt confident that we could get pretty decent progress out of these 3. So first up, let's talk about the most successful. As you probably would expect, the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate. Now, when it comes to these type of items or products in my product pan, I'm saying that I want to use these up, not just like hit pan. Obviously there's no pan in here, but I want to use these up. So that's kind of the goal with these products that don't have pan to hit. Do you know what I'm talking about? Does anyone know what I'm talking about at this point? Or am I just alone here talking at the window? Either way, so this, I was about a third, I think I'd used about a third. The like line that you could just about see was about here when I started. This bottle is almost gone. Now I have used this today, so I kind of shook it and have ruined the line as to where it's up to, but it's basically down here. And when I'm using this now, it's doing that whole like squirting out foundation. It's on its very last legs. There's 100% no chance this isn't going to be fully gone in the next month, I'd say. So this is a full success story, and I'm not going to repurchase this until I have used these others up, because what's the point? And also these other foundations are very similar to this one, so I don't feel like I need to have 3 on the go at all times. So I'm calling the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate a success, but it does need to be fully finished in the next 6 months. But it is definitely going to be. I mean, I feel like we've got maybe 10 uses left, if that, not that, probably more like 5. So the next foundation is the Clé de Peau Radiant Fluid Foundation Natural. Not the matte version, the natural version is the one that I love. So this one is very, very similar to the Tom Ford. They're almost identical foundations as far as coverage, finish, longevity, wear. All of the above are very, very similar. So that's why I'm saying I don't need to repurchase this one while this one's still going. So this one definitely less successful. This does have 5 extra mils in here. It's a 35 mil fill of this foundation. Now, very hard to see. I cannot see any kind of line as to where it's up to in the bottle, so it's hard to say. I leave this one out so I can kind of like standing up so I can check where it's at. I'm going to start doing that with this one. This one I'd say is about where we started with the Tom Ford. I think it's about like, we're about a third of the way through. I think I can still do this in the next 6 months, especially now this one is like nearly gone, because I tend to sort of focus on one product. When I'm trying to use something up or hit pan, I work on this one, and when this is finished, I will start working on this one next. That's kind of my plan. So although I wouldn't say we're anywhere near pan or like completion yet, this one is next on my list. And then we've got the Shiseido Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting. This is the one I've probably got the least progress on, because it is the least favourite of these 3. But definitely, again, it's in a similar place to the Clé de Peau. I'm probably a third of the way through. I'm going to back myself now and say I'm getting through both of these in the next 6 months. I'm going to say it now. Unless like some new foundation comes along, which means I never want to touch any of these others again. Could happen, but I'm going to back myself now. I think we're on the road to success, okay? I think we're getting through all of these. Mark my words. So next, a product that has been incredibly frustrating because there's no pan yet, but I categorically know, now I've made this video, I'm going to hit pan tomorrow. I'm sure it's coming. Every single time I use this, I'm thinking today's the day I'm going to hit the pan, and it doesn't happen, but I know it's coming any second, any day. And now I filmed this update, I'm sure. I know it's going to be there, like the next time I use it. And it's the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. Give you a real close. Do you see the whopping dent in there? Don't tell me I haven't done well. That's a big old dent, okay? That is a big old dent. I also know, because this is a very large pan, that it's quite thin, and that's a big dent. And I've seen lots of people hit pan on this bronzer. I know it's possible, and I use it a lot. And when I do use it, I do use a lot of the product each time. I just can't understand how I haven't hit pan on this, but 100% this is panning any day. And this is, I'm sure I'm on for success in this one as well. I'm sure of it. So the other bronzer I originally put in my product pan was the Marc Jacobs. This is the shade Tantalize. I've already hit pan on Fantastic, so I know I can pan one of these, but I haven't really touched this one because I've again been focusing on this, and as soon as I hit pan on here, I'm going to start using this one a lot. So I don't know how confident to feel. I haven't used this a lot. It is quite flat. But yeah, I'm not as confident in this one. I haven't used it as much as the Charlotte Tilbury, but the second there's any pan in here, this is going to become my like go-to day-to-day bronzer until we get some pan in here as well. There's really no signs of progress because I have just been focusing on the Charlotte Tilbury. So at the moment, this is like a full-on fail, and I really don't have any confidence in where I'll be at either in the next 6 months, but I'm excited to see. You just never know. Now, this is a product that I kind of added after I did my initial Project Pan, like the starting point video. I decided to add this product in, and it's the Natasha Denona Tan Bronze and Glow palette. Now, my goal is to hit pan, never going to hit pan on any of the others. We're only talking about this bronzer. It's a very small bronzer. I think there's only like 2.5 grams of product in the bronzer. Yeah, so there's 2.5 grams in there. There's 16 in the Charlotte Tilbury. So this is a small bronzer. And as you can see, it's a very well used and loved bronzer. A big old dent in there. And it's one, I mean, like all of these, but it's definitely one I can use on eyes and cheeks. And I do use it on my eyes and cheeks and really like this to travel with as well. So I'm really confident in that one. I think it's a small pan. I think we're close with that as well. But like I said, I tend to like focus on one product, and once I've finished that one, I work hard on the next one. So as soon as I can get that flipping Charlotte Tilbury bronzer to pan, we can all move on. And I feel like progress will be made on those others as well. But that one is really causing me problems. Next up, a big success story, and it is absolute filth, this palette. There's just no cleaning this. And next up, a very big success story, and it's the Norvina palette from ABH. This is obviously very old and filthy. We have not one, we have not two, we have 3 pans in here. Wait for the applause. She's very well used, very well loved, got a lot of use and a lot of enjoyment out of this palette, but I think she's ready for retirement now. You can see big old pan in there. That is very hard to see the pan in there, but it's there, I promise. And you can probably just about see the pan in that one as well. There's definitely big old dents in several, I mean, most of the shimmers, to be honest. Dazzling, Rose Gold and Summer have all got really big dents. Wild Char's got a pretty decent dent as well. I could carry this on and pan it more, I think. But for me, it's no longer like an absolute favourite and a love of mine. So it has been a bit annoying to have to keep using it in order to pan it and tick it off my box, but that was kind of the purpose of doing my project pan. I wanted to, like, there were products that I really wanted to just get a bit more use out of before I could kind of say, okay, you know, you can go in the bin now, you can go to the back of the drawer, and I can feel like we got enough use out of you to justify, you know, that we had it. And these palettes, I mean, I've had it years. It's definitely past its best before date, and it's time to go to the makeup graveyard in the sky, and I feel happy. It had its place and its time, but its time has gone and we'd like to move on. Now, a not so successful palette is Natasha Denona's Biba. Now, it's not to say I haven't been using this a lot. I use it a lot, but I have been, again, trying to focus on Norvina and trying to focus on the next palette I'm going to talk about before using this one. But now that I have panned Norvina and we'll talk about the other one in a second. But now I am now using this, like every time I do my makeup for like a more natural day, a kind of go to everyday school run only chores kind of day, I'm now reaching for this one. Now it has definitely got a lot of use. I don't know if I'm ever going to hit pan on it. These are huge pans. But I'm interested just to see, can we make some dents? Can we get some real good use out of this one? I think we can. I think we've started down that road now, and it's going to be definitely a lot more used in 6 months' time than it looks right now. I'd say my most used shades in here are probably this top row, this shade, the two shimmers. Those are kind of my go-to mostly used shade, and this one down here. Those are kind of the ones that I'm expecting to see be like a bit more worn in by the time I show you next. And the third eyeshadow palette that I included is ABH's Soft Glam. Again, like the Norvina, I was kind of ready to move on from these palettes, to retire them. They are old, they have had some use, and they're not really my favorites anymore. So it's kind of a bit of a chore to use them. But I wanted to make sure that I kind of had achieved some pan in there before I did that, so that they weren't just kind of wasted. And we've done it in this one as well. I have a baby pan in burnt orange. There she is there, that teensy little burnt orange. And I am going to keep working on tempera, and at the moment I'm just using this on my brow bone and inner corner, like every time I do my makeup. And once this one is also panned, then we'll retire her as well. I have also been using this shade as like an inner corner highlight, and again would love to pan these two shades and then we can kind of call it quits. So yeah, this is a success. We've got pan in here. Tempera is definitely going to pan again any day. We've got a big old dent in there, so that's for sure a success story for me. I am going to keep doing using this one, just using tempera on my brow arch like I did today, and maybe glistening in my inner corner for like the rest of the year until those are panned as well, and then we can again very happily retire that palette also. Next up, a powder that also isn't panned, but I just cannot fathom how it's not. And it's the Pat McGrath Under Eye Setting Powder. This is the shade Light. The problem with this powder is I have it in 3 shades. I have the light, the medium, and the banana or the yellow powder, which is the one that I like to use now under my eyes. So this is the issue, is I use this like in the stark winter, or I did use this one in the stark winter, and then I used the medium in summer. But now that the yellow powder came along, I actually prefer that one like year round to the others. So I haven't got as much use out of this one since I started my project plan, because the yellow powder came along. Is there any pan? I don't think there is. No, I don't think there is. Again, there is a big old dent in. Look at that's a huge dent, and I'm sure we're hitting pan in here any day. But it is a close no cigar as yet. But obviously I use these powders every day. What I've been doing with this one is I've been using it to set my eye primer. So I use concealer as an eye primer, and then I use this to set that, and that's how I'm continuing to get the use out of this one now that I'm using like the yellow powder more often to set like my under eye and the rest of where I put my concealer on my face. So I cannot conceive of how we're not going to get pan on this in the next 6 months, but I just don't know. I can't see the bottom. I don't know when it's coming, but I feel like it is coming, but it's not come yet. So that's sad. I feel like this video just came like 3 weeks too early. In 3 weeks' time, I'm convinced there'll be like 10 more things I've hit pan on, and I'm going to be fuming. So next up, something that there is very little, if any, progress to talk about. This is definitely the biggest fail of this whole video, I think. And it's the Laura Mercier Bellini blush. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know. I like to challenge myself. That's why I included this. It's very hard to pan a blush, especially if you have a YouTube channel. And this has been like the year of the blush as well. There's been so many blushes. The Pat McGrath blushes came out this year. And I think if the Pat McGrath blushes had come out before my project plan, I might have included one of those. But obviously they came along, got very excited, and all I wanted to use for like a while. Then the Dior Birds of a Feather blushes came along. So I definitely didn't focus as much on this one as I wanted to or expected to, because there were just blushes coming out my ears. Okay, I got distracted. I'll admit it. That's my magpie tendencies, okay? It's very hard to pan a blush at the best of times. But now it's winter, this comes back in. It's one of my all-time favourites. I'd say it's probably like in my top 3 favourite blushes. I don't know what order that looks like, but it is just an absolute favourite, and especially in the winter. In summer it's a little too light, but in winter it's just perfect for like a very soft, subtle wash of a like sort of neutral peach, and I live for it. I can't really there's no point in showing you. There's not really, it's definitely got a lot of wear, like use, but there's no sort of dent really that you'll be able to see on camera. There's a little bit of progress, but I really am just interested. There's no way this is getting panned. I'm just going to say now, hands up, this is going to be a fail. But I'm just interested to see how much progress, how much of a dent can we make? Can I make a dent in a blush? We're just going to have to wait and see. I still love it. I'm still using it a lot. And now that like the new blushes have kind of slowed down a little and winter is here, I'm hoping we can make some real progress with this blush. So I'm excited to see where we're at in 6 months' time. And the last product in my project pan is Nude Romance from Charlotte Tilbury. So this is a lipstick. It's the lipstick I have on today, and like the foundations, the goal with this lipstick is for it to be gone. Not panned, because I guess there's no such thing, but I mean like used up, flush to the top of the packaging or the component, and I think we're well on our way, to be honest. I have no concerns. Hard to see how used this is, so I brought this other shade, which is Wedding Bells, which I've barely used, so you can see the comparison. Both of these are fully wound up, and that's the comparison between Wedding Bells, which obviously is the taller one, and Nude Romance. You can see how much progress. Don't tell me that's not progress, people. Look at that. I'd say we're halfway through. So I'm very pleased with the progress of this, and this is definitely not a lipstick that I've like gone off or I don't like to use anymore. It's still like an absolute staple, go-to, like everyday favorite for me. So I'm really confident if this continues and no others come along that I just don't want to use this anymore, we're going to get through this. I'm going to say it now, I'm committing. I'm sure I'm going to use this up in the next 6 months. So I think I'm doing pretty well. So this is definitely a game of two halves. I will say that. I've definitely had some successes and definitely some failures and some in between, some that I'm not really sure how we're going and whether we're going to achieve pan or not. But I'm pretty happy with where I'm at the moment. Do you think I'm doing better or worse than how you expected? What did you expect? Did you expect me to be this far along? I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm going to pat myself on the back. If you guys are doing a project pan, please let me know where you're at. Did you start in January? Did you start along with me in May? Or is it like your nightmare and you're just never doing one? Please let us know in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.